Hey there, hey everyone. I'm just let me just check first if the sound is going is okay. So you can let me know from time to yeah, if the sound is working. So it seems that everything is just fine. From time to time, I have to remember to double check because you never know. So far, this app that I'm using, it's pretty good. I mean, I didn't have problems with the with sound and so on. So I'm very glad that we are doing another live. This time I'm going to talk about our course, which I have just launched the course. I believe that I own a kind of explanation. I mean, I have already said that a lot of time. I mean that this channel would have as well a kind of new branch, new thinking style, which has with web development. I can tell by my own experience. I kind of changed my mind after my second postdoc, which I realized how much web application is going to be in the future. So my thesis that I'm trying to defend recently as a result of my second postdoc is that we can't do anymore without the web application. This course is a reflection of that. It's a kind of I would say it's a concretization of this new perception of mine that we web application will be in the future. I have already seen several web applications applied to biomathematics and bioinformatics, but it has not been so easy to do that. Nowadays, as I'm going to explain during the course, and as I'm going as well to comment on this live, now they can do essentially everything, and for a very in my specific case, I'm not. I'm for example, now you have a web application on our live. Now you can call the IdeaCodingLab, which is on the course, and I didn't pay a cent for that. I mean, I just had to do it. It's programmed in JavaScript, which is more precise TypeScript, which is an improved version of JavaScript. If you are so so that's the point. The point that this channel is still about biomathematics. It's still about theoretical mathematical biology. But I want as well to create because my ambition, I would say my hope is that I can connect the two communities as I was connected during my second postdoc. Because from one side, there is a very nice live with John Takara, which we had a very nice discussion after I finished the live. We talked for about half an hour. I mean, I'm very sad that I didn't record that, but it was a very nice talk. We talked about after the live. And one thing that came to realize is how important is this web application. And one thing that he talked as well on the live that we did together is that unit testing your application is quite important. So the course is designed to teach you as well in test. So I believe the course can be quite useful if you are like biomathematician, bioinformatician, you work with mathematical biology, and you wanted to as well to make your app available. Because I think there's a talk that I gave to the Thursday Morning Science on this channel, in which I talked about that. I mean, the importance of you make your app available, because it's not, in my view, it's not enough that you do an amazing mathematical model, that you do an amazing system, if you can't make that available. So let me just check here from time to time, because it's quite important that you somehow make it available in the best way possible. Use a user-friendly interface, and as I explained during the course, that is my thesis. It has never been so easy and cheap to do that. Um, so I let me. The course was just launched. You can find the description of the video some info about the course. So the question is why I have launched here, not on the other. I have other channel about computer programming called IdeaCodingLab. So the reason is that I first of all, this channel has more people subscribed, so I believe it will reach a big audience. And secondly, I really want to call attention that from for the community of mathematical biology, because even though during this first part of the course, which is the first volume, I mean, I divide it into volumes because the app is already built. It's called Numerical Lab. You already have on GitHub, you already have the live app. However, I would like to teach as well how I built. It's not, I mean, if you are from Angular, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. But I sometimes you have the tendency, you have a strong tendency to forget that one time we were a student. I mean, I learned like Angular for about 2 years, so I still have memories of the learning process. So I remember how it was amazing that you learn how very simple tricks and so on. So let me tell you a little bit about my story with Angular. There is an article which I have written. It's on the description. I will make sure to leave the description of the video, which I talked about why I believe Angular does not suck. Because a student of mine, she sent me an article in Medium saying that Angular sucks. I mean, everything sucks if you see from a certain perspective. But my point of the article is that uh, for me, Angular was quite important because at the time when I started to work with Angular, I was given freedom. So I was starting my postdoc. They want me to build an app, which was published in an article internationally. So essentially, this article they gave me this freedom. So I have chosen after studying a lot Angular to work with Angular. More precisely, I was working with the mini stack, which is for technology, like it's called the Angular in the front end. On the back end, you have Mongo, Express, and you have Node.js. So it's called mini stack. So they are for technology, mainly because NPM is a repository with a huge amount of free package on the MIT line. So you can go there and check all the package you want. So the point is that this uh, so that was my experience was quite positive in this sense because I was able to build this app. And I have to say Angular is a little bit harder to learn. I had some students that had problems with Angular. Angular is not totally straightforward. But once you get it, that's what I speak on the article. Once you get used to that, if you are, of course, you must have you should, it's best that you have the Angular, a kind of minimal a kind of computer programming because Angular, more precise TypeScript, which is behind Angular, it's like computer programming. It's like in computer programming. So if you don't have any experience in computer programming, even if you have just MATLAB, because most of the people that work with mathematical model in mathematical biology, they somehow use MATLAB or this kind of software, which is some people call the fourth generation of computer programming. They're like one level higher. So, so I believe that can be uh, uh, given how easy it is to design this app. I have the feeling that anyone can learn Angular because it's like, of course, like anything that you learn, you have difficulty. You have that level of learning curve, learning experience. So you're not like learning like very fast. But nowadays we have some kind of website such as Wix, which you can build your app very fast. Like you have your website. You can have all sites like such as Google sites and so on that you can build pretty fast. But you have a huge amount of even Wix. I believe that I didn't study that yet. I'm still like in my list of learning. Yeah, think you can also do a lot. It seems to me that you can also work on the more technical part of Wix, which will be interesting because Wix can be very they have a huge amount of pre-built and they have a huge amount of already working editor. So I sometimes from time to time I'm going to check here. So from time to time, I'm going to check, just to check here to make sure that everything is working properly. So so that's it. So I guess let me just, I just want to make sure. So from time to time, I have to make sure everything is working properly. So I guess that's it. I'm going to present for you briefly how the inside the course, because if you are not from, if you, because I really want this course as well, because my first course that was launched on this channel, which is in Portuguese about mathematical models in biological system, I did a statistic showing that 60, like more than half percent of the people that attend my course, they were new to Udemy. So never used Udemy before. So I basically I bought people to Udemy. However, my course about the web application was the opposite. The majority of the people, they already knew Udemy, because Udemy can be very good to sell some kind of course, such as a course about computer programming can be very interesting to sell on Udemy. However, others courses, such as the one that I did about the mathematical models in biology and medicine, it's a little bit harder for you to sell. This one, I feel that I'm in the middle. I'm not sure how much that will influence, how much that will impact the selling of the course. But I want to show you briefly how the course is inside the course. So let me just share the screen. Let me just give me a minute. I'm going to share the screen. I like this one. Lower part. So this is the, I guess I think it's working fine. So essentially this is the platform, Udemy. If you do not know Udemy, they have their focus is very cheap course. I mean, they are several platform online. They're always doing some kind of, now they have like they always make like a very low price course, as you can see. So time to time, if you come here, you can have a considerable amount of the very cheap course. So those is now those are my course. Essentially, so I just launched this one. It was just launched. It was like approved faster than I thought. It generally take 2 days, but I was surprised because I submitted yesterday. In 2 days was already approved. So let me just. So this by the way, if you are thinking to launch course on Udemy, this is the interface that you're going to see. So I'm going to show you what's inside the course. So essentially, that's what inside the course. That was inside the course. What you see here, you have all the lecture organized for you, so you can go on choose the way you want. I mean, the way you organize the lecture, it is up to the professor. The professor is going to decide how he organize the lecture. So one nice feature about the let me just show one thing here for you. So this is what you are going to see if you go to the link that I have provided on the description of the video. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see more this one here. I see the cost is like a low price, but as I just let you know, you have a coupon that is on the description of the video. So if you wanna As you see, now it becomes free. See that this coupon has a limited amount of time. Free means that you don't have to pay, but you still have to add your card. You still need to create an account. Everything is free. And the course is some nice feature. This course is a full-time access, as you can see here, full-time access. I think that's very nice. I mean, for me, sometimes for the instructor, it can be a little bit bad because you need to launch all the time. I mean, so I have, so that is, you have 1 month to give up if you do not like the course. Enroll. The specific case, if the coupon is free. And inside the course, that's what I would like to show you, have all the sections of the course. One nice thing about the Udemy that I like is this option here. You can essentially, as you are watching the video, you are watching the course, you can like mark any point you want, like in YouTube. The difference is that you don't need to mark, like put the number, like which time. It can be very nice because if you are like, if you want to make a note, like if you want to make a question, for instance, you can make the question precisely on the point of the video. Like if you're watching the video, you see something that you didn't understand, just can ask. I believe, I'm not sure yet, but I believe you can, I'll be able to see this comment as well. I mean, everyone can see the comment. So you can ask precisely on the point of the video. That can be very nice because when you are like on a classroom, sometimes I have to wait until the end of the lecture to ask. I hate that. I used to hate that because I lecture just. However, you can ask any point you want. I will receive notification. There is a question and answer. Like ask a new question. I will see your question. I guess you can choose if you want or not the audience to see your question. I believe I would kindly ask you to allow everyone to see the question so we can all participate. Another feature that I liked a lot, so far there is no here because this course is new, but these announcements, they are like everything that I post. I can post up to 4 newsletter, like 2 promotional and 4 newsletter. What is a new newsletter? Newsletter is what I like to call continuous learning. Like I continue teaching. Like I can, after I finish the course, I can keep sending like short articles, like the size I can decide. I have been using that for keep the discussion, such as if I make a live, I can invite you. If I see that I can teach you something extra, I can let you know. Each course has a different format. This one specifically, I have added for you, for example, one thing that I have different on this course compared to the other ones is that I had for you a kind of user's guide. It means that user's guide. It means that I have done some new since this is my course number 6. You always grow. I mean, you always grow from one course to the other. So on this course specifically, I have added for you this kind of user's guide. I'm going to leave most of the link on the description of the video for you. So you can find everything organized for you here. I mean, I can do that in the future, but here's some tip how to learn. I'm going to improve that in the future for you. You can do it slowly. You can hear the resource that you can GitHub and so on, our Figma project. You can find all of this on the. So essentially, just to show you, that's how you're going to build. Figma, you are going to learn during the course, but Figma is a free platform that you can build your app before it's built. Like it's very nice because you can essentially prepare like your app before a single line of code. It can be useful if you don't know how to code, so you can show someone how you want. So this is what you're going to build. It's not complicated. It's pretty simple. So it's like just one background. So we are going to do during the course the process. Let me show you here. There is this nice feature of Figma that you can actually create a kind of sequence of what's supposed to happen. For example, here you have how you're supposed to see the. So, but I created. It's not hard to create. a kind of, as you see, it's marking. Whenever I get closer, it's marking for me. It means that if I, let me just, it means that if I click here, as you see, it will open for me. It's what's supposed to open, login and dev section. You already have this app built, so it's like it's already built, the app. So you can see, but in this specific case, just to present. As I was saying to you, just out of curiosity, I mean, let me see if I can open here. Let me see, just give me a minute. Let me see if I can go back to files. I just want to show you something here. Because this one, to be taught honestly, I didn't spend too much time like, but there is one specific I want to show you. Let me see if I still have it here. No, I don't have. I don't know what happened. There was a very nice project here from a student. She sent me, but if it's fun, it's not. Maybe she didn't. Maybe it's not available anymore. I mean, she shared it with me, so maybe she didn't want anymore to be available. But I was surprised that before she asked me for the lessons, she showed me how she wants the app to be built, and I was surprised that how I mean I was surprised how how close the app was from reality. So let me see if I have an example here, a little bit more like you, a little bit more example. Because in my specific case, I mean, I still need to open. Anyway, I don't have here a more well-done prototype, but you can find the internet, like to explain. So as I was saying, this is the structure of the course. You have like a resource, like additional, like you can, if you go here and you click, for the IdeaCodingLab, you click, then you'll be directed to the. So see that the Udemy course is always evolving. So it means that in the future you may have extra feature, you may have more time. This is the real app. You are not going to build this app here. You are not going to build the full app because the full app is a bit not too much complicated, but for teaching it can be quite. Let me just. I like to check from time to time. I like to check from time to time. I just there is a spam here. Just as you can see, unfortunately, you have this problem here. As I am like. It's spam. I mean, I just want to check if everything is working properly. Yeah, it's working properly. So uh, so that's what I want to show more or less. You can find everything on the course. I mean, I can teach. For example, you can ask questions. I mean, I'll make for you. I'll leave for in the description of the video. Uh, one one very nice feature of our. Let me just. I mean, that's the first time it happened in my channel, but I'm a little bit honored because if it's happening, someone is find my the channel. Anyway, this is the what you are going to build in the future. I mean, you have it built now, but you want to build in the future. I mean, it's a little bit, I'm using Firebase, I'm using Angular if you are a web developer, like you are curious. You can like log in. I found it, I create a login system. So why should create an account? You should create an account because you can like, right now you cannot like do it yet, but in the future you'll be able to have to go to login. In the future, you'll be able to have extra features such as saving simulation and so on. And I'm not going to cover here all the details because I have already. You can go there and play with the app, but see that you're not going to build this app right now. This app is this app supposed to be where you want to go in the future. So this is the volume number one. It's supposed to be very generic. We are going to see there is a bug here on this app. We are going to fix this bug during the course. I have to reload 2 times in order to be able to see your info. For you to be able to see your information here, like I'm seeing here. But in the course, I'm teaching how to fix that. One thing that I'm just out of curiosity that I want to test is because I'm writing our ebook. In the next slide will be about the ebook. It will be in Portuguese, and the and in the next the next live that you are going to do is about our ebook. So one feature that I'm going to add this sandbox was created for our ebook. So one feature that I'm going to add in the future, I'm still thinking about it. Is artificial intelligence based system that I'm thinking to add. They're supposed to help you to pick your model. I'm not sure if that's gonna work, but I want to give it a try. So it's supposed to be part as well of the sandbox. So essentially that if you are logged in, for example, that could be a good idea to use the information. Anyway, maybe I'm not going to, because it's not the reason why. Maybe in the future I'm going to do a live specific about this app, EngagoToLab. Anyway, there's a huge amount of option here. I suggest you that you take a look on the course. Remember that you have 1 month to give up. Remember that now I'm going to give you free coupons. So guys, that's it. I present to you the course. I present the course, and I present to you the course, and so I present to you the course, and now I wanted to briefly. I would like to give you a very short and very fast overview what's Angular. So I'm going to present to you a set of slides. So I present to you the course. Now I want to show you a little bit about how Angular works. So on this part, I want to show you how Angular works. See that it is supposed to be a very crash course on Angular, a very crash course, a very fast course. I'm not sure if this part goes well. I'm going to add this part to the. I'm going to add as well this part to the course. So Angular. So the course is about Angular, unit test, and numerical analysis. What does that mean? That means that there's a huge amount of stuff here. I have to be honest. So it can be. My hope is that if you start to learn from the beginning, so this course mainly focused on the people that are starting. If you start from the beginning thinking big, like thinking an integration way, thinking how all this technology go together, I believe that you can learn much more, because I believe one of the biggest mistakes that you make when you learn when I was learning Java, I remember that the people from Java, the book didn't tell how to program. They said that you should learn right from the beginning. The book was talking about the object-oriented programming. So I have learned object-oriented programming since the beginning. I can tell it was a very nice experience, because I didn't. There is no need for me to learn about the traditional programming before object-oriented programming, and I miss nothing at all. because when you learn the wrong way, you have the high risk to get some kind of bad thinking or patterns. So if you learn right from the beginning, essentially you have the from time to time. I'm going to just check here because you can remember that you can ask questions if you want. So from time to time I'm going to check here. So that's it. So if you learn right from the beginning, you let me just check if the sound is just fine. Everything is working fine. I have to check from time to time just to make sure. Anyway, so that's the point. That's the reason why I. That's the reason why I believe that you should learn. You should learn. That's the reason why I believe you should learn. And you should try to learn as much as possible in the beginning how ethics go together. So how Angular, I'm even preparing. I'm even preparing an ebook that I'm thinking to launch an ebook about Angular in numerical analysis. It's supposed to be I called it a scientific Angular. So so that's the point. That's the reason why I think that you should not be afraid of learning all this stuff together in the beginning. I mean, if you don't like, you can always go to the traditional way, like one thing at a time. But see that they are somehow connected, because if you are from the scientific world, sooner or later you are going to apply your because as I was reading Twitter one time, the guy was saying that your numerical your app, your web application, like techniques web application, your knowledge of the application is not alone, in the sense that it does not apply it somewhere, it's meaninless. So so you learn, because learn can be pretty hard. So if you try since the beginning already like um, if you see the beginning, you are trying to apply, you are trying to use it. It can be a very interesting experience. So that's what my thesis, one of the thesis of the course. So nowadays we can build a full app from creation to deploy without expending a single cent. I can tell you I did it on my second postdoc. I did it now, and sometimes it really surprised me. Nowadays, you have a kind of model which is based on the small to big. So just pay if you are big. I mean, if you are small, if you have a small app, everything is free. You just pay if by any chance you decide to go big. So, so there are several options such as Heroku, GitPage, Firebase. They all provide very cheap and fast way to deploy your app. So you can fast. Heroku, they are always all of them. They are like online server that you can do it online. On my postdoc, the people had this kind of dilemma. I had some difficulty dealing with that on my postdoc. I have to be honest, because people want to use their own server. I tried in the beginning to use their server, but it's pretty hard because those Heroku, GitPage, Firebase, all of them, they already have a kind of they already build everything for you. So it's a kind of made that you don't have to do essentially almost anything. Like they already have everything already built for you. It's amazing how fast you can deploy. I mean, there is you have to learn in the beginning. You have that kind of learning curve, but the learning curve of Firebase and so on is much lower compared to you have your own server. It can be very disturbing, boring, like I very discouraging when you are in the beginning. I'm talking about by my own experience. I tried in the beginning to have my own server because the people asked me to do that. I mean, they want me to use their own server, and to make the thing even worse, the situation even more difficult. The server they had was the majority of the server they are designed to work with PHP, because PHP is the traditional way to make server. Node.js, Angular, and so on, they are new. They are child compared to the old way to make web application. So this traditional server, they are very easy for you to work with PHP because they were designed to be work with PHP. So when you go to say Node.js, which is the new one from the new one, it becomes pretty hard if you have your own server. And not to mention that you have to give maintenance. You have to make sure that you have the kind of security, all the kind of security, HTTPS. I can tell you. I mean, I can talk about it for hours. How I will strongly encourage you not to not use your own server, because it will be expensive. It will be time consuming. It will be cumbersome to work with that. So I can give you a huge amount of reason why you should not work with your own server. Maybe I can write a medium article about that. So nowadays you have as well a huge amount of ways. Even you can. This first part here is about how to deploy, how to make your server available. But what about if you want to develop? It's still for free. And Visual Studio Code, StackBlitz, CodePen, all of them, they are environment. They are free. They are very easy to use during the course. I'm not. Maybe I have an idea. Maybe in the future I may add for you some kind of. Maybe in the future I can add for you some kind of of course about that. But for now, let me just make sure. For now, maybe in the future I can add for you some kind of a course, maybe their own course, teach how to use Visual Code. But I have added for you how to use StackBlitz. I mean, I taught you CodePen. I didn't use CodePen yet. I know people use it a lot, but StackBlitz, it's in the course. It's an online environment, which is a copy of Visual Studio Code. There is a mistake here. Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code, or VS Code, as people like to call it. So VS Code, as people like to call it. It's from Microsoft. So so you can do that everything for free. They have a huge amount of very easy to use, very friendly. There's a huge amount of assistance. So Angular, what you are going to use on the course, is a front-end framework. And React, Vue, they all provide free powerful programming framework and library, because React is a library. Vue, I'm not sure. But what is the difference between a library and a framework? I like to explain that because I have this difficulty. In the beginning, when I was working with Angular, I have a huge difficulty to understand what the hell is what the meaning of a framework or library. There's a difference. The framework, they kind of create for you a kind of way of working. So we are going to understand better how Angular works. But frameworks change everything. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Angular is a little bit harder to learn compared to React, because React is just a library, as far as I know. I'm not programming in React, so I just know because React is a competitor of Angular. They are like fighting together for you to build your application. Then they even a kind of history, because Angular is from Google, React is from Facebook. There is a kind of fight, it seems to me, between them, who want to be the big guy on the web development. So framework means that you need to follow some rule. So they essentially, Angular initially was a library, but they decided to make it a framework. So essentially, framework means that they have some rules that you have to follow. It's different from library. Library does not change how you're supposed to do stuff. Library just like sometimes you import, sometimes you just copy and paste the library on your folder, and that's all. But in the case of the framework, you need to pay attention to some rule. I like this because they put some order on the house. So here, as you can see, first you have to deploy. I'm going to the final where you're going to put your app available. Then you have the environment you can work to build. Then you have the framework, library, or wherever you want to use that you. So here is you may say the language. Angular is not a language, but you can think that's the language. Then you have the environment for you to work. Then you have the way that you leave your app available online. And also, not less important, you need to as well to have database. I mean, how are you going to save your information? How are you going to, for example, if you see your online app, it has a kind of user login system. So how are you going to store that information? So that's a good question. So that's what you need. So you have Firebase, you have MongoDB, Atlas. In general, I like to work with MongoDB, but recently I started to work with Firebase. I mean, I have even an article I wrote to the Geek Culture, which is a kind of online they call it journal, like it's not specific like scientific journal. So best of all, your app will be full functional. I mean, you may say, my app will be functional. Yeah, it will be functional, like all the functions. I like to call this the culture of free for small. If very small, most of the time you don't have to pay for anything for that. So before I go on, I just want to make sure that everything is working properly. So what is Angular? By the way, there is an article here I wrote on Medium about that. Medium is a website that you can find a huge amount of articles about anything, but they are very good at computer programming. I myself, I learned a lot from Medium. I mean, when I was doing my postdoc, I used to find a huge amount of articles. All of them were in Medium. I mean, so I decided as well to write to Medium. You can write whatever you want, and you can submit to some publication, like there will be the journal version of Medium, like someone is an editor, you submit, and the person accepts or not your article. More or less the same process of the scientific world. So what is Angular? Angular is a framework, as I said before, was designed by Google, and it has been widely used to design sites, like platforms, or the name you prefer to call it. So yeah, site, platform, what you think that's the best you want to call it. So essentially, it's a framework to create front end. I mean, there is a difference between back end and front end. Front end is what you see in the server. Back end is what you see on the back, like you don't see it like on the server. One thing about Angular, the Angular has become like autonomous in the sense that you don't have anymore to create your back end. For example, Firebase, you can do everything on Firebase. You even now have artificial intelligence. On this article here, I'm talking about TensorFlow. TensorFlow was developed as well by Google. And TensorFlow is a way for you to build artificial intelligence-based application. That's one of the things that I believe innovating biomathematics, which is one of the topics of the channel, can be quite strong. I have here on the channel some kind of artificial intelligence-based discussion. There is even a sandbox by the same people, I believe, that developed TensorFlow.js. TensorFlow.js is a kind of you may call it's not a competitor because they have compatibility. You can move from TensorFlow.js and TensorFlow in Python. They claim that can make move from one to the other. So I don't say that they are a competitor, but they strongly have some kind of because TensorFlow.js is built to run on your browser. It's built to run with JavaScript. In TensorFlow, the traditional one is built to run in Python, which Python has Django and so on. But anyway, Angular, JavaScript, they are quite powerful and so on. On this channel, we have a very nice talk from Leandro Rudo, in which he talked about the biomedical image segmentation using TensorFlow, but TensorFlow, the traditional TensorFlow, which is not JS, which is written in Python. So in layman terms, the page you see when you work with Angular, it is a dynamic page. There is I can talk about that for hours, but there is a difference between when we talk about the static page and dynamic page. Dynamic page, I mean, I explain a little bit about that on the course. So in the course, I talk a little bit about that. Dynamic page has to do with whenever you change the your page, just the part that you change is going to change. So it's not going to change everything. You just change just the specific part that you want to change. There are some different that are a bit hard to explain, but in simple term, very simple term, like in very brief, you have a page. The traditional way to build page that every page, so whenever you go to your browser and you put an address to your browser, it will be load a new page or a new HTML. What Angular did, I'm not sure if you React, I believe that React has the same pattern, but what I'm not sure about React, but about Vue and so on. But what Angular did, because I know I can talk about Angular, what Angular did was to make this not anymore like this. So whenever you put here a link on your page, it's not going to load the whole page anymore. It's going to load just the piece that you want. So if you have here a header, it's going to load just the header. If you have here a card that, for example, this card supposed to show something for you, it's loud just the card. Why that's important? That's important because you don't have anymore to loud everything. You just loud what you need. You can create lazy loud. You can create. There are several tricks that you can do that just can do using Angular. And theoretically, it becomes faster. Gmail is the most famous single page application. Gmail is very low to loud. It's very low, but once you load Gmail, it's very dynamic. So there is this price to pay. In the beginning, it can be a little bit slow to load, but once you load, you have everything you need because it's called single page application, SPA, because everything goes to the browser. So whenever you call your app, it already load everything for you. It put everything on the browser for you. So that's what's called single page application. Of course, there are advantages. For example, when I should use Angular, SPA, and so on. People say that whenever if you have a very static page, you don't need to use it. But I'm not sure if it's true anymore because nowadays it's very easy. You can make I'm not sure if it's true anymore because most likely or not the page you are building, most likely it is it's going to be dynamic. I don't know why someone will build a very boring page. You can do a huge amount of stuff. But anyway, if you wanna build a very boring page, like you don't do anything at all, just load some data, maybe you can use Express. I did it myself during my postdoc. I didn't publish, but you actually can do a lot with Express. Express is backend, but you have a called just out of curiosity, called Pug. Pug the dog. The symbol of the library is a dog. Pug the dog. Sorry, it's a pug, no bug. Pug. There is all as well AGS, which is another one. AGS. Anyway, there are ways that you can build a static page if you wanted to build. If by any chance you don't want a dynamic page, you can create static page if you want. So different from React, Angular is not a library. Angular is a framework. I like to check from time to time. Everything is just fine. Make sure. So some remarks about Angular. So as I said before, Angular is a single page application. It's a SPA. It's mainly written in TypeScript. TypeScript is as the name says, type script. It's JavaScript, like a JavaScript with type. One of the biggest complaints about JavaScript that JavaScript does not have too much rules. Like you can do whatever you want. There is no type in JavaScript. So in my specific experience, I start using Java, the language, Java to do programming. Java is a strong typed language. Everything you do in Java, you have to create a type, like a string, integer. You have to say double. You have to tell your language what the hell is that you are creating. JavaScript does not have this kind of restriction. However, it became a mess, as some people say, because especially because nowadays most of the app they're not built anymore by just one people. Open source, such as Google, they have all this kind of huge team working. So if you have a language like JavaScript, there is no rule, there is nothing at all that you can like decide. Like people can start to build a huge amount of stuff that doesn't make no sense. I mean, it becomes harder if time as some people. I'm not talking about my own experience, but talking about some article that I read. It becomes harder and harder with time to manage stuff. So that one TypeScript was born. TypeScript is the first language to try to replace JavaScript. No, it's not the only language. Several languages try to replace JavaScript, but it seems that I'm going to try to leave for you a presentation, a talk, very nice talk. The speaker, he talks about that. But it seems that TypeScript is the one that really succeeded. Why? Because it does not replace JavaScript at all. I mean, you can even do whatever you want as well. Most of the time you can do what you want to do with JavaScript. So TypeScript didn't replace JavaScript, just like you try to improve. So you can use lazy loud. Essentially, as I said, as one of the biggest drawbacks of SPA single page application that you have to load everything at once. But lazy loud will give you the option. If you don't want to do that, you can just say don't loud this, loud this, loud this. It can be a little bit sometimes. You have to plan your app ahead to do that. You have to say that I want to do lazy loud here. So anyway, it was designed to be tested. One of the big things about Angular is that it was designed to be tested. There is now a new framework called the Nest.js. I have a course on that. That Nest.js as well is a copy of Angular. So if you are working with Angular for the very first time, maybe you can consider using Nest.js if you need a backend. Nest.js is a backend. It's a backend language. It's a competitor of Express. Express is designed using JavaScript. Nest.js is essentially TypeScript. So I was teaching a student. She was working in a company. And Nest.js has gained a considerable amount of space. I mentioned Nest.js because Nest.js as well was designed to be tested. So if you want to test on the back end, Nest.js is the option. If you want to test on the front end, Angular is the option. So what the hell is a test? Test in a very simple term is like this. When you do a code, you do your computer code, you just run your code. That's fine. However, suppose that in the future you start to change something in your code. It happens a lot. It happened to me several times. It happens all the time. It happens a lot. It may sometimes happen that when you change a piece of your code, you stop your other piece working because you forgot, because this piece depends on this piece. I can tell, if you are a computer programmer, you know what I'm talking about. It's very hard for you to keep track in your mind about what, especially if your code starts to get bigger and bigger, what's going to happen if you change this part. When you design tests, you make sure that some feature of your code always working properly. Because as I mentioned during the course, you have essentially 3 ways to test your code. There is the compilation error that you will be unable even to run your code. The compiler is going to find the error, such as I have a vector that's going to go into the limit. Like you are trying to get to access to a memory that does not exist. You're going to find, most likely going to see an error in a compiler moment. The second type of error, which is TypeScript does that, is to make sure that you do everything according to the rule. Such as if you say that your variable has a certain type, and you try to use as another type, TypeScript is going to let you know at the real time that you should not do that. At the moment you are doing your code, TypeScript is going to mark for you if a red line, like here in the give a message. That's not the type you're supposed to use with this variable. So you can fix right away. The third type of error that I mentioned during the course is that the error of the test. The highest, you can think that if you think in terms of a hierarchy of error that can happen in a code, the lowest error is compilation. The second type of error is like language specific, such as TypeScript, that helps you to make sure that you do not make mistake. And you have the higher level of error, which is test. Test, you make sure that some behavior of your code is going to work. During the course, I explained that for you. So test makes sure that Some people, there are several schools of tests. There is a test-driven development, behavior-driven development, domain-driven development. There are different schools of tests. But all of them have tests as a score. So what changed between them? It changed all the tests. The behavior-driven development, you are focused on the behavior. So I like this one, the BDD, behavior-driven development. What's the behavior? Behavior is what your code is supposed to do. If you have, for example, a code that's supposed to give you what time is it? You ask your code, what time is it? Your code is supposed to give you the time. How you give the time? How you give the time is not the business of it's not your business. If I ask what time is it, doesn't matter how you give him the time, as long as you give him the time. So as long as you give him the time, I'm not concerned about how you give the time. So one test that you can do is that you can make a test that the test is supposed to be independent. It's a separate file. It's supposed not to interfere with your code. So your test will go automatically. It's like automatic. Ask what time is it, take the time, and make sure that your code always responds properly. How your code will respond to that is not the business of your test. Of course, you can test how your code find what time is it, but that in general that's a bad idea, because you are like avoiding your code to grow. Because if you test how your code implements something, even if in the future you decide to improve your code, you have trouble because test will start to fail. The test-driven development with TDD, one of the ideas is that the first version of your code has to be very bad. It has to work. The first version can be just a return, like return a value, just to make sure that your code pass. Some people they give you the kind of tip. Just go to Stack Overflow and copy the first code you find. So your first code has to be bad because it has to work. So that's the idea. So if you test how your bad code works, you'll be unable to improve your code. So that's it. You should always test behavior. So that's the idea of test. Test supposed to test something that's important. So it makes sure that there's a concept of called entropy. They say that the more your code grows, the higher the entropy. Some people say that your test, you avoid your entropy to grow. So your code will be able to grow without necessarily become like chaotic. So that's the idea behind the test. That's the theory behind why it's supposed to test. As I was talking with Jonathan Carr in a live that we have on this channel, he believes that I was talking about computational biology. He believes that it's impossible for you to grow your code without test. I was asking him about test. I mean, there is the live here. I leave for you the description of the live, and you talked about a lot about test. Just see, let's find here. So you were talking about test on the code. So it's built around the concept of components. So one thing that I liked a lot about Angular, and which we for in the description of the video art that I wrote, is that Angular is all about test. It's about component. Component, as I'm going to show you here, it's like a box. I'm going to show you more in the upcoming slide what the hell is a component. So some elements, by the way, I took that from the Stack Blitz because I found it was beautiful, nice, the interface. But so you go to, I explained during the course how to do that. But on Stack Blitz, you can easily create any of this on Stack Blitz. Of course, you can do as well on Visual Studio, on VS Code. But on Stack Blitz, it can be even easier for you if you are like in the beginner. So components are the build blocks of Angular page. So remember that I told before, but let me just explain that again. You have a page on your website page. So Angular works like this. Every piece of your page is going to be a component. You should have at least one component. For this whole page can be just one component. But in our specific case, in our course, we divided the components, like you put a header, then you put a footer. They are different components. On the full app, you have as well another component here in the middle. You have another component here in the middle. So you may think that the Angular works like this. It's like block, like a jigsaw puzzle. Then you have the piece of your page, the piece supposed to communicate with each other. So Angular is a set of components. at least supposed to have at least one component, and they talk to each other. Suppose you have a page as I explained before. Then you have component one, component two, like as you said. Here I'm not sure how they're supposed to be organized. I'm just show they like they are in sequence. So they talk to each other. So they talk to each other. Sorry. So they talk to each other, and there is a huge discussion not on this version of the course, but I have a course in Portuguese in which I explain this kind of communication. So Angular, some elements that are important in Angular. Servers. I mean, it can take me a huge amount of course, a huge amount of time just to explain, but I'm not going to get too much in detail here. But a component service in Angular is separate the logic, like in general used to do mathematical calculation. That's one of the reasons I have defended that Angular can be used for scientific computation, because the concept of service give you the freedom to, and it run in the background. So it means that you have a heavy calculation. For me, the last proof that Angular can be used for heavy calculation was TensorFlow.js. TensorFlow.js is a deep learning base. So if deep learning can already do a lot of stuff in the front end, so I mean I believe the kind of calculation that you do in biomathematics in general, they are not very heavy compared to deep learning. I have studied deep learning for a while, so for me, deep learning is a kind of upper limits. If deep learning can be built, I mean, if you can build a deep learning based app on the front end, for sure you can build a computational biology based app. So service they run in the background, which is a very good thing. It means that it's not going to stop your app. So your app still be running. It's called asynchronous programming. There is a library called the RAJS. It's built in now. It's independent from Angular, but it was incorporated inside the Angular. So Angular now has this capability. It's inside Angular. I mean, you do not even have to study RxJS. Because it was incorporated in Angular. It's built for this kind of asynchronous calculation. They have the directive, which is essentially one of the nicest one that we are going to use in the courses called the Angular material. They are like I like to call the magic wonder. Like you just you have a HTML, you just use the directive and it change for you your the appearance. You can make it has a huge amount of effect. You are not going to use that too much. You are going to use just Angular, but Angular is so packed and so easy to use that you not even see that it's a directive. But you can build your own directive. You can do your own if you want. I mean, it's like you can build you can even publish if you want, publish your own directive. So there is a concept of models. Models you should have at least one, which is the main model. During the course, I explained that. But models is how Angular is packed. I mean, I have another slide on the to come and explain that. Have concept of pipe. Pipe is just a way for you. It's a magic wand as well, but instead of change HTML, you change the data that you use. There is pipe even for asynchronous. I don't remember well, but there's a certain type of pipe, such as the date. If you wanna show your date like for a month, year, I don't know, maybe one just month and year. So doesn't matter how you receive your data, your pipe is going to transform for you into this format. So pipe, you can build your own pipe. There is some pipe that come together with Angular. The next one is guard. Guard is quite useful if you want to make sure that something can happen. Guard is like a guard. It makes sure that whenever you go to a page, they check something for you. For example, if you want to make sure that your page can be seen by just someone that you want to see, you make sure that the guard is going to check for you the page before someone accesses the page. And if they do not have the credentials, if they do not have the credential to access the page, just give them a message. You don't have enough privilege. You should be logged in. You shouldn't access this part here. This is confidential. It's like a guard. Like it makes sure that check for you that someone has the authority. interface is very important. Remember that TypeScript is called TypeScript for a reason. Interface is when you create a kind of type. So it helps TypeScript, it helps Angular to make sure that you it helps to make sure that Angular that not in Angular, but that you are using everything properly. So interface is a way to make sure that you receive, you can use to receive data, then you can use to use the data inside the app. I have used, for example, a lot interface in the past when I was building my postdoc to communicate with the backend. So whenever I receive data from the backend, you make sure that the data respect a kind of format. It's a way for you to put order in the house. So like you say, yeah, it's supposed to be this way, that way. On this course specifically, you're not going to use the interface, but on the app, the full app that you have already on the GitHub, you have interface. So class is a general name, like you may think that TypeScript is already object-oriented programming, like it's built inside like object-oriented programming. So class is everywhere. Like sometimes you can define directly as a class. Sometimes all of this somehow is a class. All of this here somehow is a class. So Enumi, to be honestly, I have never used Enumi myself, but I have seen people use a lot. It's like a way to make sure that you have some kind of parameters and constant. Like, so as I was saying before, Angular has a concept of model, as I said. So everything goes inside the model. You should have at least one model. So whenever you have a component, which is remember the component is the building block of every page, should have a file called TypeScript, another file called CSS, which is CSS. In our case, we are not using CSS, we are using SCSS, which is a kind of different. It's the same as CSS, but it's an improved version. Okay, you can have variables, you can have a lot of stuff. CSS change all the time. You see that now even can use like statement. I saw a Medium article, like the title. You can use now if statement inside CSS file. So I think it always evolves, always changes, always improving. But it's appearance. CSS is appearance. HTML is the old school, like the old school, like everything is HTML. So Angular, not just Angular, any like Angular, React, Express, all of them in the after all, they are HTML generator. They are all beautiful, fancy, but then the aftermath they just create HTML for you. What they do is to make it easier for you to do that. I mean, if you go after you build your app in Angular, if you do like you deploy your app, you see that there's a huge HTML file because what they do in the aftermath, they just transform all the beauty, all the TypeScript, all the components, because the current browser they have limitation. So you should transform. They just they cannot understand Angular, they cannot understand TypeScript, they cannot understand Vue and so on. They have to transform in HTML. The HTML they're going to understand what the hell is going on. They put in their own language. So it's missing here because you're supposed to have as well one file called the spec, which is a file that's missing here. The spec is a test, is your lab test that you are going to use in the course. There is a huge amount of native component. That one of the nicest thing about Angular is that people can publish. I myself published one for us called the just out of curiosity. I just want to show you just out of curiosity. You have here. Just out of curiosity. I published for us, I mean, for everyone, and anyone can use that. This is one thing that you can use in Angular. I mean, it was born from our application. Then I decided to make it public. It means that anyone, so you just have to install, like the npm install, and then you can use. Even our app, you are already using. It's already using in our app. So just to make sure the user, it has a dependence of essentially Math.js. It depends. When I think about this community called NPM, every page that we are built is based on NPM. Everything is here. Angular is here. Um, Everyone somehow is here on NPM. The nice thing that you can like build one library upon the other. So if you see this Math.js here, just out of curiosity, it has a huge dependency as well. Let's go here to it has 9 dependencies, depend on 9 library, and there is 1,000 library, including my own library, that depend on this one. So you can have this one called energy. Anyway, there's a huge amount of depends working on. So I think that's one of the beauty of NPM. That's all free. So that's it. So you have this huge possibility. So that's it, guys. You are going to build a simplified version of the app and call me IdeaCodingLab. So that's it. I would like to close here this presentation. So let me just open. I would like to ask apologies for the noise that they're going to have a huge amount of noise now. I can edit later the video. So that's it. I'm going to close here. I'm going to close. I would like to thank you all for following. I think it went just fine. So essentially, I present to you the app. So the course is available. You have on the description of the video, have a coupon, and that's all. Thanks a lot, and it was nice having you around.